After the games this week, Dolphins are now locked into first place, going against their second bye week, the Texans, coming up. Not to say it's a given, but it's about as given as givens can get in the NFL. Injuries is the key thing. But this Dolphins' newfound running attack and the performance of the offensive line is going to be critical. I said at the beginning of the season, and I'm saying it even more so right now. When you look over the slate of games, not going to get into it right here, we're going to need this rushing attack. And if it can look like it did the last 2 weeks, more so like last week against the Browns, everything is open. Offensive line protection, everything. Everything is open. Tua will be doused in nitro along with Hill and Waddle. This defense will get the framework it needs to be exceptional. Of course, we got to wait for Jones to see what happens with that. So I want to dig in very deeply, the deepest dig into the Dolphins' newfound running attack as it looked against the Browns. And I spent a lot of time on this. Wanted to do a little bit of a larger podcast and more film. I got a bunch of plays in there. But as luck would have it, my kids were doing who can jump the farthest over the big hole in the backyard. And I decided to do that too. My standing broad jump, which I was exceptional at my best. It was 11 feet standing broad jump. So I decided to do it without warming up. Did the first one, didn't feel, I got about 8.5 at 50, which is not bad. Measured maybe it was 9. But my daughter came out and said, Daddy, I heard you jumped over the hill. I didn't see it. So I did it a second time, and now I am what they call in technical terms screwed. My hip is jacked up. So I'm in pain. Couldn't really finish the editing that I wanted to. I'm kind of holding it together here. So I want to do more for you, and I'm going to after this. 2 things I want to focus on before we go into the film. One is what is a zone, inside zone run, and what's an outside run, zone stretch. How to diagnose it. Now, it's not the blocking. Blocking does tell you things, but there's so much goes into that. It's the angle with which the running back attacks the line of scrimmage. Inside zone, attacking it north and south. Sometimes there's a slight angle, and you can have pitches and things like that. So it gets a little more, but that's a general framework. Outside zone, the running back gets the football, and he makes his read before he gets to the tackle, and it's coming at it, the line of scrimmage at an angle. That's the general way to do it. So when you see these films, I got yards before contact. You'll see annotated in there, and whether it's inside zone, outside zone. But I want to give you that reference as a further indicator. Second, I want you to understand what Jeff Wilson is doing so far in both of his games. Now, week 1 against the Bears, he had 3 yards before contact. That means the line gave him 3 yards, and then he got the football and had to do his thing after he got touched at 3 yards. And then 2.7 after with 1 broken tackle. And then this week, last week against the Browns, it was 4.4 yards before contact and 2.6 after contact with 2 broken tackles. Together with his time with the Miami Dolphins, it's 3.9 yards before contact and then 2.7 after contact, total 3 broken tackles. Now, I'm going to dig into that information a little bit in another podcast, but I've done the yards before contact and yards after contact marriage in the past. I'll dig it up because it's critical to understand who Wilson is, how this offensive line needs to do, and all the stuff after that. My final summation, which I'll touch on and go through this film, is this guy reminds me a tad bit of Marcus Allen in not the late years, but just past his prime. He's tall, rangy. He knows how to shave off defensive tacklers. He's got a nice little bit of movement. He's not ultra gifted in his lateral movement. He's got some good speed. He's physical. He can catch. This guy has a load of talent. I still peg him as above average to good And he could be very good depending on the yards before contact. And like I said, I'll dig into that later. But if you can get this guy a solid yards before contact, and I said 2.7 is pretty good. You're getting into that good range, 2.8, 2.9. So what we've been seeing here is exceptional. I don't expect that to be the way we see forward. There's a lot of stuff that goes into the blockers, their matchups in the games to come, and all that stuff, but I'll get into that later when my hip isn't burning. Okay, so I got a lot of tape, maybe the most edited tape I've done on anything. So I hope you enjoy. Going to get to that after the commercial. Shout out to my sponsors, because without you guys and without them, this show ain't going down. AcePerHead's betting software is the premier white label platform for bookies to manage their players and grow their sportsbook operation. Click the link in the description below to get set up in minutes. Ask for the Curtis promo and get a special introductory discount. All right, here we go. Here's the film. Let's take a look and see what we see. Open up with inside zone run here. 7 guys in the box. 2 tight safeties. Immediately see that nice swim move by Tehran I showed the last time. Browns just pursue the wrong way and kind of get caught up. There's a solid block by Connor inside, a cut down at the backside. And you see Tehran here. Look at this hole. This is a giant hole. And Tehran, I covered in the last podcast, just grabs just enough not to get a holding. And you get 7 yards before contact. Nice run, but that was generated by the offensive line. This one, we're going to see the wide zone here to Mostert. Gets outside. Everything's kind of clogged up. And he really doesn't go anywhere. Again, take a look at it. See, Hunt's doing a good job, but Jones, he just can't get in front of his guy, and his guy is the one that comes on down with a bunch of other guys and just kind of clogs things up. Jones' block wasn't critical, but it was part of the play and something we see from him in the wide zone. So this was 1 yard before contact. Really, it was just a good play by the Browns. Coming back to an inside zone here, and you see nice move again, a little subtle move, and great after contact effort by Wilson. It's 1 yard before contact, but he's able to put that hand down and keep churning for an extra 3 or 4. That was a very good run. He's got this skinny little body in some ways because he's tall. Kind of reminds me, he's got that Marcus Allen build. Inside zone run here. Tehran makes sure that the leverage totally goes to Jones, and then Hunt gets up the field and does a nice job filling that hole on the move. And just there's this huge hole here. 14 yards before contact. A little shoulder action there and a little 3 extra. That's a nice little job. Another inside zone here. You get Shell, Smythe doing an excellent job on a double. But it's Jones wrapping around on the pole that keeps that little sliver of a window open. Smythe's got to keep holding him. It's not easy. That's a strong guy. I think that's Clowney. But Jones gets in there on the move for a big guy, and bang, right there. And Wilson gets skinny and pops through and squirts up, picks up 5. But that was only 2.5 before contact. Here's a wide zone run here. And I covered this one as well last time. You see Tehran, he comes back, he realizes this guy could be problems. And he pivots on him and chips him just enough of Mostert to get outside. Some nice edge blocking, but that's 10 yards before contact. That's some blocking right there. And then a little effort by Mostert to pick up another 3, 4, 5 more. That's some fighting by our running backs. Here's an inside zone, and it doesn't go anywhere. It gets disaster written all over it, but you'll see what happens. All right, so Jones is pulling, and they're doing slant blocks down, and he's basically coming to cover the backside. But Garrett starts muscling Tehran, who wraps his arms around him, and ultimately shoves Tehran right into the play here, and bang, that foils everything. And that's 0 yards before contact. Actually, might be -1. I probably should put that there. But that was absolutely Garrett dominating my man Tehran. So here's a wide zone. Again, what they like to do a lot of this wide zone is slant blocking. Then they do some counter block action with a tight end or pulling lineman. And you get nice blocking in a huge hole. Look at this hole. That's ridiculous. Not sure if I like that cut by Wilson. Again, Jones sets it on 93. This is a key. That's a crucial block right there. And he does an excellent job. And so does Hunt. And then you got Connor coming down to the second level. And he makes that big block. And then you got this wide space. I mean, just vast cavern for him to hit. And I just wished he had went straight up at this instead of bouncing it to the outside. I think he should just hit it hard. Here's a wide zone. And that's some kind of run, too. That's some kind of hole. Look at this. And you see, I love the way Jones gets his head on the other side of Garrett. That is a great job for him to get to that position. That's the perfect position. That's the seal right there, man. You got all leverage, but Tehran's holding his spot. And even though Jones is getting pushed back a little bit because he had that helmet on the other side and got that leverage, he's able to fight it. And then Wilson does an excellent job getting through that. And he's 5 yards before contact. And because he shaves, again, the outside arm of the tackler, he drags him for another 6. Inside zone run here. You see another one where very good blocking. And Jones is doing a good job. You can see him on number 47. Watch the linebacker. What is this guy thinking? He's following Ingold. I don't know what he's doing on that one. And Tehran does his thing where, he grabs him a little bit and gets his back towards him. Tehran, that was just savvy business right there. But Connor is the key block on number 33, holding his block right there. And that's a nice pickup with 6 yards before contact. Another 3 or 4 post-contact. There's a wide zone run. You can see that slant left and the counter with the blocking. And this was a good little move. I really, really like that. It was only 2 yards before contact, but he's not a great full gap cutter, but at half a gap, slasher, Wilson's got some real skills. Really, the problem on play side is Hunt can't handle his guy. He's getting blown back. That forces Wilson to cut against the grain. And when he does that, and Tehran, he doesn't cut quick enough, and his agility is not, Barry level. And so then he bangs into Tehran right there, a little shave, and then the linebacker peels off and makes that tackle. There's an inside zone run. Good double by Connor and Jones. Shell and Hunt do their job. It's 5 yards before contact. And Wilson picks up another 1.5 yards. So here's a wide zone. And this is just big, big hole, man. Big. But it's great. Look at here. You can tell Jones is still young. He's getting nervous. He doesn't want 98 to go to that side. It makes his job so much harder. And you can see he has a tell with the fingers. He wiggles his fingers because he's getting nervous. And that's a real tell for a veteran. If a veteran sees that, then he knows I'm in the right hole. I'm going to the right. He knows where the play is going. So he's got to try to control that. You see like the finger wiggle there. That means I'm nervous. Uh-oh. Things aren't going the way I wanted. But he does a good job. He can't get his helmet on the other side of him, but he gets head up and pretty savvy to get the hand on the back of the shoulder pad. But right here, he was holding. You could tell he was holding because he gets nailed in the back and tears him down. And that might be called a holding call by some refs, but he got away with that one. But what a hole right there. Look, you see it ripping him down. But what a hole right there. Nice block by Ingold at the end. 8 yards before contact, and then 3 or 4 more after by Wilson. This is a wide zone. And see here, oh, this is the big run. And this is the Marcus Allen flash. This is speed and movement. But what a wash down by the offensive line. Isolating 42. A funny job holding right there. Ingold is on his can, but it's just enough. And right there, Wilson ices him with the old in and out, as my old coach would call it. Performance by the offensive line. And it doesn't take anything away from Wilson, who you saw has tools. He's a quality back, especially that last one at the end where he liquefied the guy, or sort of liquefied him. That was a really bad attack by the, not bad, but it wasn't the greatest attack by that, I guess it was safety. And then, but what he was able to do with that, and then the reacceleration to get there, and all the other things. There's a few plays I didn't show in there I was going to add. He works well in close space. And a lot of people will look at film and they'll see a running back and go, look at that 99-yard run. That guy's great, or he's whatever. Really, the less the blocking is, I mean, not totally inept, but if it's not the greatest and he's got to work the running back in small spaces, when you watch what the guy can do in those small spaces, that's where you get the true test of this guy. And there's a couple plays, one or two I wanted to put in, but I didn't put in. There was one where he does a karaoke move. Maybe I'll add that on a side thing. This guy's a good back, along with Mostert. He's better inside zone than outside zone, although his outside zone, when it's blocked exceptional, he does well. Mostert is the outside guy with a little inside. Wilson is the inside guy with a little outside. And this looks to be the best framework for this team that we've seen in a long while. It's going to be a huge test over those last 6 weeks, and the run game is going to play critical. But Wilson and Mostert and McDaniel's ability to adapt and understand how to utilize the run game, that addition of the inside zone was essential to beating the Browns. And it was a total change-up that threw them for a loop. We have a lot of potential here, guys, and this run game can take us to the Super Bowl if it continues. And that will be the fun journey. Curtis saying, thanks for staying to the end. Catch you next time. Be well. Go Fins in your run game. Go, go. Start building your own online sportsbook today by getting signed up with AcePerHead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.